Our Liverpool fan who's on with us today, Mick, was smiling as soon as he heard the UNITED, United are the team for me. It's deadline day. Hello and welcome along to All for United. Hit that subscribe button and smash that thumbs up button as well on this video. Make sure you share it across social media as well. We're into, I think this is program number 2 now on deadline day discussion. Today we're bringing you 4 programs on the All for United channel, all around the transfer window. The good, the bad, the ugly is coming up at 6:30 with Russ, where he looks at the good, the bad, and the ugly of this year's transfer window. And tonight at 9:45, you've got Jonas Chivas and you've also got Rob Blanchett alongside Temi and Joe at 9:45 this evening, counting down to the end of the transfer window, discussing what other clubs are doing and also what Manchester United are going to do in those final hours, if we trigger anything, let's be honest. And if you want to go back and see the goings on from this morning as well, Hader has got Adam Digby, really, really well-respected and renowned journalist, and Dad O'Donnell from Stretty News on a show chatting about all the goings on this morning. So go and check out that video on the channel as well. But right now, I thought it'd be cool today to jump into a bit of a discussion with a couple of opposition fans. So I've got a big Blue, a big Chelsea fan. Matisse is on with us. How you doing, bro? You all right?
All good. Good to be here, man. Thanks for having me on.
It's good to have you. Good to have you on, mate. And also, it's good to see Cheeky Sport still doing bits as well. Like when I started off doing YouTube stuff about 7-8 years ago, Cheeky Sport were everywhere. So it's good to see you guys still doing great content. And we have got a Liverpool fan on the Man United channel, which I wanted to do because I think that actually, although they maybe haven't gone out there and bought a number of players this window, they've done some really shrewd business. So I really wanted to hear from Mick Moran, who's a Liverpool fan as well. Mick, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, all good. Thanks for having me on. No problem.
So good, mate. Thank you for jumping in. I think we'll start with you as well. Obviously, oh god, this hurts. Premier League champions, and we can't say you didn't deserve it. Premier League champions, and you've gone out in a transfer window and done some very shrewd business, especially with bringing players in. We had a quick chat about this at the start, but Thiago, would you say it's normal for Liverpool to go out and buy a world-class player of that calibre?
No, it's usually the FSG model, which is obviously Liverpool's owners. They try and buy between 23 and 27, obviously trying to buy that player with the hopes of, if it doesn't work out, they can then recoup most of the money that they've spent on them. But I think it's sign of the times. We've just won the Premier League last year. We need to go out and make these type of signings, otherwise, like the likes of City and the likes of other teams, United, Chelsea, Arsenal, can claw their way back slightly, and it's making those type of signings gradually, like Klopp has done over the years. He's been here since 2015, just picking the players that he needs that suit the system, and he's done it perfectly so far. And I know this one goes pretty much against everything FSG want us to do, but they've obviously had a conversation together and decided that this is the way to go to sign someone like Thiago, who's, for me, you could probably play till he's 35, because he's that type of player where he's sat deep just in front of the back four picking off passes, and he's not like he's overexerting himself with long sprints and stuff like that. So I think he can play this role for as long as he wants to be honest, because he's got that quality. He's got quality in abundance. You can see that. You've seen that against Chelsea in the second half at Stamford Bridge. I mean, it was only 45 minutes, but you could see he was just, it looks too easy for him at times, the way he passes the ball. It's just so good. But in terms of, going forward,
Matisse, he had to bring up the Chelsea game, didn't he? He had to bring it up.
I mean, I think Thiago came on in that game and made more passes than any individual player on the pitch for us. So in terms of, like, he only played 45 minutes, just came and dominated. And we're not going to be biased when it comes to Liverpool. I was worried, first of all, because they didn't get the Timo Werner deal done when really they were in the driving seat. And I was thinking, oh, maybe they don't have the cash. Maybe Liverpool are going to be hit by the pandemic. They're not going to take advantage of the cheaper deals that are going around. But they've got Jota in now, who's got Premier League experience, so that's a great signing. And then Thiago, as you said, I mean, this is a player that I feel like they need, because their midfield was more based on pressing for many of Klopp's first years. Their whole team really was very much about high intensity pressing. And I think as a lot of their squad comes into the age of 28, 29, 30s, you look at their front three, you look at Van Dijk, you look at their midfield, even with Wijnaldum, Henderson. I think, the whole run until you die, maybe you just needed a little change of pace to be able to control games a bit differently. And Thiago's going to do that. He's going to slow the pace down. He's going to just help Liverpool win games a little bit differently. So I think Liverpool change as a team a little bit of Thiago, and I think it's much needed as well.
I mean, I really rate Transfer Market, which is a great website to go on and check out transfer rumours, and also when deals are done, like how much players cost and bits and pieces like that. And Mick, like United were linked with Thiago for quite a while in the transfer window alongside Liverpool. And for me, the thing with Thiago was always that, well, he's a world-class player. If you can bring him in, you bring him in. Like, it's as simple as that. It doesn't matter what the fee is. I mean, so many fees were rumoured. Liverpool obviously pad out that deal for quite a long time, as Matisse said, when the Werner deal didn't get done. And again, the Thiago deal took quite a long time as well. We're all wondering, well, Liverpool can't. Is it the fact that they just can't spend money this window? But according to Transfer Market, you got him for under 20 million. According to Transfer Market, for a player like Thiago, I mean, fees aside, does he become a starter in your side? Over would it be over Fabinho, or does he come in and replace captain of the lucky club, Jordan Henderson? What do you think? What does he do?
Oh, I don't know. In terms of the fee, I think it's 20 million plus. I think it's 5 to 7 million in add-ons. I think, which is in today's
still absolute still
an absolute snip. I know he's 29, like he's touched on, but he's world class, one of the top 5 midfielders in the world. In terms of where he starts, I'm not sure. For me, Jordan, I know a lot of people watching this might not agree, but for me, Jordan Henderson's number one, first name on the team sheet for Liverpool at the moment. Because when he's not in the team, we are a massively different team, and in a deficit in terms of him not being there. He keeps us ticking over and just makes stuff happen. But I don't know if he'll come in. He'll probably come in, I imagine. It all depends on who we play, to be honest. I mean, if we're playing a lower team at the bottom 10, Thiago will be absolutely ideal, because like we said, we won the Premier League last year. Teams are going to be wanting to come and sit back, come to Anfield, put 10 men behind the ball, like Arteta, and just try and stifle us. But bringing someone like Thiago in there, it opens up those avenues, picking those passes in the final third, where, like Matisse said, the three we've got in there, the tried and tested, Fabinho, Wijnaldum and Henderson, maybe don't see those passes. The only one that maybe sees those passes is a Keita or Oxlade-Chamberlain, who's currently injured. But yeah, it all depends on who we play. But having that much quality in that midfield and having that many people to choose from is absolutely great going forward. I mean, having Fabinho can slot into centre back as well, and then we can put Thiago and Henderson in a double and have Keita just ahead of them. Or there's just so many options we can go through, which is it is a great time for a Liverpool fan.
I mean, I've got to admit, like, obviously, we're recording this a bit in advance. I mean, like 24 hours in advance. So I don't know what's happening. I doubt anything is with Jadon Sancho. I mean, if he ended up going to another club and it weren't United on deadline day, I'd be massively jealous. But I think the two signings this window that I am, if as a fan, most jealous of, I've got to say, and we're going to get onto them in a minute, is Rodriguez at Everton and probably Thiago going to Liverpool. I just think there's two class players there where, I would have loved for United to have been involved and potentially pit those players, because they're two areas where I just think that if you can grab players of quality. I mean, it looks like Rodriguez went to Everton on a free, by the way. Like, that is mental. You bring them in and you do what you can to bring them in. So yeah, I think it's interesting. But Thiago aside, Mick, and Matisse, we'll come to Chelsea in just 1 second. I just want like 60 seconds, if possible, Mick, just over some of your other business. I mean, Diogo Jota, again, that's like a bit of shrewd business when it comes to squad depth, especially now. Obviously, Mane's going to be out for this weekend, or for the weekend. Just when are you playing? Are you playing today, or we're recording this on Sunday? Are you playing today?
Yeah,
so we'll see how he gets on today against Villa then. But then also you've brought in a young left back from Olympiacos. You're promoting a few players from the under 23s and the younger teams, and players coming back from loan. So in terms of other players to watch out for, what are you thinking looking ahead this season?
I think signing Tsimikas came a bit out of left field, because obviously no one knew that much about him. I'd seen him in Europa League against Arsenal and games like that. But apart from that, I hadn't seen much. But what I've seen from him so far, looks great. But good going forward, good defensively, good pace, good pass, good cross, and able deputy if Robertson's out. In terms of Jota, I'm made up we signed him now, because obviously, like you said, Mane's been tested positive for coronavirus, so he's definitely going to come in on that left side today against Villa at Villa Park, which isn't an easy place to go. And I'm getting his goal against Arsenal last week will do him wonders in terms of going forward, and I think he's going to be great. I mean, I think the fee was 45 million, which might seem like we've overpaid a little bit, but in terms of an investment. I think he's only 23, so he's nowhere near his prime. He's got huge room to improve, and under Jurgen Klopp, what better manager to do that? In terms of outgoings, getting rid of Dejan Lovren, we got rid of Ajaria, Kiana Hoover, and then obviously Ryan Brewster more recently. And we've inserted the buyback in the Brewster deal, which we can sign him back for. I think it's like 35 million in over a period of 3 years. So for me, that deal was a no-brainer. I mean, we could have sent him on loan again and just kept doing it over and over for infinity, like we've done with Marco Grujic. But in terms of sending him out to Sheffield United, great club, he's gonna score goals there. If he wants to come back in 3 years, we can activate that deal. So for me, I'm happy. I think we've spent about 30 million net spend, 30 to 35 million, which, like you said, the quality of Thiago, Jota, and Tsimikas coming in, I couldn't have picked a better window for us.
And you might have a few more outgoings as well. Who knows what happens with Harry Wilson as well? Yeah. And I think kind of something about another young lad you've got as well who might end up leaving the club too on deadline day. But also, I think underratedly, you've got Klein off the books. Obviously, he's left the club now. Lallana obviously has ended up at Brighton, and I think Karius has gone back out on loan, hasn't he? So I think you've managed to shift players there who would just really overwhelm the squad, which is great. So just quickly, Mick, one more word or give me a number. What would you rate your window out of 10?
Ooh, I'm going to give it an 8.
Nice.
Like I said, if we get rid of the other ones, like maybe Harry Wilson, I think it's either Harry Wilson or Shaqiri will leave. It looks like Shaqiri might be the most likely, and we'll probably keep Harry Wilson. There's a couple in there that we might keep, we might not. But like getting rid of the Karius, like Lallana, like you said, Klein, getting that huge amount of money off the wage bill going forward, it has been a great window.
But that's what you want to do as champions. And my fiance is, as I said to you off air, is a massive Liverpool fan, and his worry was at the start of the window that actually they weren't going to invest or continue the investment into the side to continue improving it now that they've become champions. He was a bit worried that the foot was going to come off the pedal. Where you've won the league, go do it again. You've got the players to do it, and the fact that you've managed to invest just goes to show. And so Alex Ferguson used to do it all the time. Never be happy with just what you've got. Go out there and do something else to make the team better, because you can always improve it and push players to compete more for places. And I think that's what made United such a dominant force. So unfortunately, it's looking like Liverpool are doing that as well, which is, and with that Klopp winning mentality that is installed in that side as well, it's worrying. I've said it already, this is for a different show, but I think Liverpool are going to walk it this year. And that's a horrible thought for me. But I just think that too much quality, they're stable. You've had a good summer behind you in some aspects. And I think, the start of the season has showed in your performances, especially against Chelsea. Talking about Chelsea, Matisse, if I actually went through your window, let me know, I'll be here for years, wouldn't I, talking about the players that you've brought in. I mean, you've got Havertz, Werner, Chilwell, Ziyech, Mendy's come in, Sar's on a free. You've got Thiago Silva as well. I mean, where'd you start, mate? Talk to me. Where do you start?
I mean, first of all, we had to do it. We had to do it. I know it looks like a lot, and to be honest, I was never expecting it to get done all in this one window. I was expecting it to maybe be done over 2. But after we had the transfer ban, we made no signings in the January just gone. We had no choice but to do this because our squad had so many players in it where I was just looking at them like, you're not Chelsea standard. You shouldn't be here. You're getting on a bit. Willian, Pedro both leaving on frees. So Batshuayi leaving on loan to Palace. There's just so many players in that squad that you just looked at them like, why? If you're here, we can't move on to the next level. And you can say that for about maybe 8, 9, 10 players in the squad. So this overhaul is needed. Every single position the club needed, they addressed. They were very objective about it. We needed a left back. Said before the show, before we started, Alonso is not a left wing back. He's not a left back. He's a left wing back under Conte in a 3 in the back system. And then Emerson is very dodgy as well, defensively and going forward. So we needed a left back. Goalkeeper wise, I don't think I even need to tell you guys that Kepa was shocking last season, one of the worst goalkeepers in the league. And then you go up front, and you're when you say you're getting rid of Pedro and Willian, you need to replace those players. And we needed a goal scorer as well because Tammy did score a lot of goals last season, but there are still a lot of holes in his game. And I think, unlike Mason Mount, Reece James, these guys coming through, when you're playing up front for a big top 6 club, that position is not a position you can mess around with. It's very cutthroat, very ruthless. We can't go into a season knowing, oh well, he'd be good enough. Well, no, if we're gonna do what we need to do as a club and progress, then we have to have a top striker. That's the bare minimum. Top goalkeeper, top striker. Those 2 positions, they say, are very like each other in terms of the 2 players that understand each other the most. Because when you make mistakes in those positions, you're in the newspapers. There's nowhere to hide. There's nowhere to run. There's no one to cover you. Those two positions have to be top quality, whether you're in developing stage, whether you're trying to progress with youth, it doesn't matter. So yeah, we have to address the positions, and we have.
I personally think that Chelsea's business this window has been dominated by a little bit of criticism because of the amount of money you've just gone out and splashed on players, and it's wrongly because I think people forget about the transfer ban and the fact that I mean, I know you bought Kovacic during that time, and you still managed to get that deal done because it was the loan to buy option, wasn't it? Which is fair enough, but that's like £40 million. As I said, I love using transfer market, and before the show I went through and had a look, right, and I think this is what completely justifies what Chelsea have gone and done. So they haven't spent any of their own money for a season. Well, 2 transfer windows, isn't it? I think. Last year, you let go of the likes of Hazard and you let go of a few other players. And the thing that I see on transfer market, again, I'll say to anyone, go out and have a look at it. You sold or let go of players, and the average age of departures then was about 27. So you were letting go of a lot of players who were getting on, maybe at the point where you were getting the best sell-on value, Hazard being one of them. You sold him. And in 2019, 2020, you made nearly 350 million in transfer fees, right? So and then if you go back and have a look at this season and the players you've let go, you've made nearly 150 million in transfer fees as well. Yes, you bought in players for around 380, but you haven't lost any money. It's not like there's a big deficit there in terms of players you sold and players you bought in. My honest opinion on Chelsea, and I don't know, Mick, if where you are with this. I mean, we bring you in to chat a bit about Chelsea's window here. For me, I think the fact that United and Chelsea last season finished level on points, and this is no disrespect to Chelsea at all, by the way. Well, in some ways, maybe it is. I think that's deceiving from a fan's point of view, because I think United should have finished third comfortably last season. Actually, it shows United's problems when it comes to playing against the smaller sides and the way we're set up a little bit more than it did Chelsea's. I think Lampard got probably more out of Chelsea than he ever could have last season. And I think the fact you finished level on points actually painted over the cracks slightly. So I think actually you needed to have a big window like you did this year to even... I mean, I know it sounds mad saying it, but catch up with where United are at as well. Even though I think United are in a really poor position, so it sort of shows where the two clubs are. Mick, what have you made of Chelsea's window? And are there any players there that you're extremely excited to see in the league, or maybe even from a fan's perspective, slightly worried to see line up against you? I know you have seen them line up against you already, so that's the worries out the window now.
I think Timo Werner, obviously, if you go on Twitter, 90% of the Liverpool fans on Twitter thought it was a done deal. Timo Werner was going to sign for Liverpool. We were all getting ready to see him get the Liverpool strip on and be great for us. And then obviously, I don't know what happened with the finances and whatnot. Didn't happen. But I'm still happy he came to the Premier League, because I think it's the best league for him. And I don't care if he's signed for Chelsea or not. I still think he's a great player, and I still think he'll score absolutely hatfuls for Chelsea. Because especially, like I was talking to Matisse before we started, they need to... It doesn't matter, you sign all these players, there's so much quality, it's going to take time. It doesn't happen overnight. Going to, like, Havertz, another great sign. I would have loved him at Liverpool, another great sign. Chilwell, even if we didn't have Robertson, he'd be my second choice if I had to pick one from the league. He's another great sign. And Ziyech, another one, probably gone under the radar a little bit. He's going to do great as well. And then you've got Thiago Silva, now he's coming towards the end of his career, but he's still another good sign and shows up that defence. I think it's no fluke that when Liverpool started doing well, it was when we signed Alisson and Van Dijk. They're the key positions you need to strengthen. And I think under Lampard, having Kepa, I know you've just signed the new keeper Mendy. It's going to take him time to bed in as well. But in terms of keeper, you need a top class keeper. There's no doubt about it. Like, we signed Alisson, who for me is the best in the world. And since then, we've went on to win the Champions League and the Premier League consecutive seasons. It's no fluke. Obviously, signing Van Dijk was huge in that as well. Getting him in, who's just absolutely just calmed everything down in there for years. For about 10 years, 15 years, we've had people just hoofing it clear and just panicking and just absolute carnage and chaos back there up until he came in, and he's just calmed everyone down. Same for Alisson, having someone with that mentality in those key positions, like Matisse said, who making mistakes isn't in their nature, and when it happens, it's blown up and magnified 10 times more than it should be. But they make mistakes, and it's the mentality when they do make a mistake, it's out the mind in the next 5 minutes, and they crack on and they're back to normal again. And it's having that elite mentality and in these elite players that we've signed, and like at Chelsea, like the Mendy, they've signed the keeper, he could be good, but it's going to take maybe a year or two. Like I said, Thiago Silva maybe is a stopgap forward. They've signed Malang Sarr as well, who's another one who could be good in a few years. But it's just they're in a transitional period, and I think, like Matisse said, they've signed good, which was needed at the time. Like they need to play catch up to all these other teams. They want top four. They want Champions League. They want to try and make a fist at winning the Premier League again. So it's in the next couple of years, I imagine they'll be up there. But for now, I think top four is your goal for now, and I think in a couple of years you'll definitely be challenging with like Ben and Havertz finally acclimatising to the league.
Can I just say on that as well, Mick, and Matisse, I'll come over to you in a second on this as well. For me, two things on that. I think Thiago Silva, although obviously didn't have the best start to life with the West Brom game, I think he'll make the biggest impact at Chelsea. And I think that's because if you look at the other defenders around him in that Chelsea squad, they're very inexperienced. They're mostly young. And the fact that you can bring in, I think actually he had to start Thiago Silva the other day. I think he had to start him. I think actually in an ideal world, Frank keeps Silva happy by giving him games here and there, but has his influence on the team as well, if you sort of know what I mean. I think if he had his way, Thiago Silva probably wouldn't be first choice at centre back, but he sort of needs to be because that's where the quality is at the moment when you look at the Chelsea defenders, if that makes any sense at all. But I think actually his influence, you've got to think about it on the training, and we'll talk about United's window in a second. I think this is where Cavani might come in of use for United. Having someone like Thiago Silva in your squad and your younger defenders looking up to him day in and day out is going to make such a difference to those young defenders. You look at a player like Kurt Zouma, right, who for me, he's got all the talent in the world to be a quality centre-back. He really has. He's got a bit of pace. He's got strength. He's good in the tackle, but his concentration is awful. But he's never had anyone to watch week in, week out, day in, day out on the training ground, have a partner next to him who he can learn and pick up the game from. And I think that's what's difficult with some of your defenders. Christensen's another one. Again, looks like a fabulous... When he was on loan a couple of seasons back, looked like a brilliant talent. Can be a top-class defender. But again, who at Chelsea, whilst he's been actually at Chelsea, has he had a chance to learn from and really pick up the game from? No one. So I think Thiago Silva is going to be a great signing for Chelsea, even if it's more of behind the scenes and developing the younger players. Yeah. I think it's going to be great. And we'll get on to Cavani in a minute. So I'll get your thoughts on that, Matisse, but also keeper. You know, being a United fan, we talked to so many journalists. From some of the journalists we spoke to, actually, Chelsea's interest in Dean Henderson was real. Chelsea were in talks with United for Dean Henderson, and that is the goalkeeper that Lampard wanted, and that would have been a hefty transfer. Like, you're looking at a 60 to 80 million pound fee for Dean Henderson. It wasn't going to be a cheap one. And don't get me wrong, I think he probably is edging over starting above De Gea, if not within the next couple of months, maybe by the start of next season for sure. But obviously the wages De Gea's on, you just can't shift him. I don't think Mendy's of quality. I think Mendy is very much the future backup goalkeeper for Chelsea, isn't he? I think the fact that they're bringing him in now is because it's either Willy Caballero or Kepa, isn't it? I mean, Mendy doesn't. Mendy, I don't know about you, Matisse, but Mendy doesn't come across to me like that. I know Mick mentioned it there. That Alisson kind of goalkeeper, you know, even Dean Henderson. Dean Henderson's a much better goalkeeper than Mendy, isn't he? From what I've seen. So, where's your head at with the improvements you've made defensively, with like Mick said, with Sarr, with Thiago Silva, and with Mendy in goal?
I think they would have gone for someone like Henderson, like you mentioned, a young goalkeeper who again is looking like he's going to have world-class potential. Donnarumma at AC Milan is another goalkeeper that I think they were looking at, but he's got an agent called Raiola who we just do not deal with. And his contract's also running out as well, so it would kind of be silly to even bother right now. You kind of just wait on those ones. I think Mendy, with Chelsea fans right now, we're just so excited to see another goalkeeper who can save shots, who can collect crosses, who's got some stature about him. We've been dealing with Kepa now for 2 years. This last season that just gone by, you know, everything has just been absolutely woeful. I couldn't pick out one strength if I even tried, especially for the fee he's on, the 7-year contract, second highest earner in the squad. You know, these are obviously not things that are maybe in his control. That's the club that's offered him that. But it just puts the nail in the coffin that much more when you're seeing a goalkeeper who their saving technique, their fundamentals are just wrong. Trying to save shots, running, like moving backwards, not even saving the shots. I think the save percentage was shocking. Again, not coming out and collecting crosses. There was a cross that came in against Liverpool in the 4-3 defeat, I believe. They just whipped it right across the box, and our defenders are looking at Kepa saying, "Why are you not coming out for that?" And he's just like standing in the middle of nowhere, just not even interested in coming out for it. Maybe because he's scared. Even distribution's been poor. You see the Mane goal recently. Shouldn't be allowing that. I know we're trying to play out from the back and whatnot, but the concentration levels just need to be higher. just need to know when to get rid of it and shouldn't be just slamming it into Mane like that. So in every department that you could possibly think of for a goalkeeper, he has been underperforming and underperforming by quite some stature. So when you have something like that going on, Mendy's job is very simple. Whether he's here to be back up in a few years or he's going to be a starter, time will tell. Obviously, it's up to him to show that he can start. But he costs 20 million, and his job is very simple. Don't be the worst goalkeeper in the league.
Don't be as bad as Aspilicueta. Yeah, don't be as bad, sorry, as Kepa.
Yeah,
Aspilicueta or whatever it's called.
If Chelsea had an average goalkeeper last season, they would have finished comfortably third. You just need to be average. You don't need to be. No one's asking you to be Casillas or Cech or Allison. You just have to be average, and that will do, because he's literally another stopgap, but in just another way. To the point where his height alone, the fact that he's 6'6", that's going to help us on set pieces. We were conceding set pieces by the truckload last year, and there's other things involved. Obviously, Thiago Silva is going to make a huge difference with his organization. Again, bringing other defenders on in terms of making them better, like John Terry did. You stick John Terry next to Tal Ben-Aim, and you think John Terry's going to allow Tal Ben-Aim to make him look stupid? Absolutely not. You know what I mean? You have to get on my level, not the other way around. You're not going to drag me down if you're a top centre back. And it's the same with Mendy coming in. It's one of those things where we're going to concede less goals from set pieces just from the sheer fact that he's going to collect more crosses. His I know it sounds stupid to say, but his arms compared to Kepa like twice the size. So I'd expect him to reach things. I expect him to reach shots that Kepa wasn't reaching. Those shots that were going in the top corner, I expect him to get there. So just from a pure stature wise, the fact that Petr Cech also recommended him as well, that goes a long way. You're looking at probably the best goalkeeper statistically of all time in the Premier League. I know people want to talk about Whoa. Yeah, I did that. I know. I did that on purpose. I
can't believe you come on a Manchester United fan channel and claim that Petr Cech is the greatest Premier League goalkeeper of all time.
I know. Because Schmeichel, I know you want to say Schmeichel, but statistically, Petr Cech with his, statistically, Petr Cech is the one.
Do you know what? It's funny that you say Schmeichel. And this is another chat. Maybe we can do another debate another day, guys, where we talk about like rival stuff and bits and pieces like that, because obviously this has been great. But it's funny because it depends what generation of United fan you speak to, I think. Obviously, I've lived through Van der Sar more than I did Schmeichel and also David De Gea recently as well. And it depends what category you're going into. Like you say, if you look at statistics, you can have a look at what you want. But when it comes to shot stopper, like De Gea's by far one of the best goalkeepers we've ever had. But then when you have a look at his all-round play, Edwin van der Sar was so underrated. He was brilliant for United. But then obviously when it comes down to audacity and leadership, you've got Schmeichel. I agree with what you said on keepers MT. Sorry, just to move this on a little bit, like Mick did there, what would you rate your window out of 10 then?
If I'm rating the window out of 10, I have to give it a 9.
Oh, okay. Okay, nice. Okay, nice. Just quickly, Mick, just really, really quickly, the signings you've made enough to retain you the title, do you think?
I never want to be too optimistic in terms of Liverpool because we are prone to the. No, I don't even know what I'm saying. I think we will.
As long as it's not the treble, you can have the league.
We've burned so much in the past with the false dawns that I don't want to get me ahead of myself too much, but. In terms of quality, last year we were just too good, plain and simple. This year, I don't think it's going to be as easy, but I still do think we've got enough quality there. I mean, I looked at something the other day, like all the pundits doing their predictions for this season, and I didn't see one pick Liverpool as first. It was all Man City or Man United.
If City starts in the title, no, I don't know about that.
I'm sure Chris Waddle put United first, something like that. I was like, what?
I love Chris Waddle, and that tenner's in the post. Let me tell you, Matisse. What about you? Where are Chelsea going to finish this season with the window you've had?
For me, it has to be comfortably top 3. I don't know what's going on in Man City, so maybe second, but comfortably top 3 and then win a cup, which is now more difficult because we've been knocked out of one. So,
Matisse, what happens? What happens if you don't win a trophy? What happens if you don't? What does it take for? Sorry, I know I don't want to be Mr. Negative or whatever, but obviously a lot of people are chatting about this. Where do you get to a point with Lampard this season, if with the signings he's made, or do you think it's just a case that you've got to go with him because, as Mick said, it's a transitional season? They're going to take time to gel. Is it the fact that he just has to see the season out no matter what happens this year?
I wouldn't say no matter what, because you just spent a lot of money and you just got every player you really wanted. And in fact, I think we're actually going to sign one more.
It can't be Declan Rice, though, can it?
Declan Rice or Yeah, Declan Rice.
Oh,
The thing is with
Declan Rice is the biggest hype job on the planet.
I don't think it will be him this window, but I do think they'll get him in the future. I think the reason why it won't happen this window is because of the fee and the amount of negotiation, and West Ham are playing hard to get. Don't be surprised if it's like a Thomas Partey from Atletico Madrid, because they love to still.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, he's got a release clause, 45 million. So there's nothing Atletico can do about that. Same
Chelsea, Arsenal fans would cry if that happened.
They would, and I would love those tears. So that'd be brilliant.
Go on, Mick. Sorry, quickly, go on, Mick.
He has to finish top 4.
I was just going to say, who would, if you signed a Rice, who would he come in for though? I mean, seen yesterday it was Kante and Jorginho in a 2. Who would he come?
By the way, can I just quickly say, if Rice comes into Chelsea and you want to let Kante go, I'll have him. Like literally, can I just if Chelsea are going to be silly enough to go right, we'll let go of one of Jorginho or Kante on deadline day to fund a Rice deal. I mean, I'm happy. I'll have either of them.
Really,
literally. They are underrated. I don't know why Chelsea fans are so obsessed with Declan Rice coming in instead of one of those two. I think they're brilliant.
Neither do I. Honestly, I try as best as I can to steer the train the other way, but I can only do so much.
Quickly then, guys, just because I know we're at the half an hour point now, and I do want to hit on United for 5 minutes or at some point to get your views on that. But just quickly, 2 minutes, strict 2 minutes. Mick, I'll come to you first. What about another club this window that's not United, that's not Chelsea, who you want to talk about and highlight? Who else do you think's had a good transfer window that we should watch out for this year?
As much as it pains me to say, it'd probably be Everton. They've won the first 4 games. They've signed good players like Allen, Decore, like we touched on, Rodriguez, like just good players in there who they needed. And I think the midfield's where they've always been lacking. And I think having Ancelotti as manager and signing those type of players who he's had before, he's had Allen at Napoli and Rodriguez at Bayern and Real Madrid, hasn't he? I think. And then Simon Decore was another great one. I think they got him for like 20 million, something like that, which is today's market for a 27-year-old midfielder who for me is could be one of the best in his position. You can play either attacking midfielder or defensive, and as an all-round game, I think he's great. I think they've got a lot of quality, and I can't wait. The derbies in the Merseyside derbies on the 17th of October. So I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be an absolute cracker, and I think that's going to be the tightest it's been for a long, long time. And they haven't won us, beat us for a while, so I'm a bit nervous about that one of them. I'm not going to lie. But in terms of their window, they've done what they need to do. Like Matisse said about Chelsea, they've done what was required with the funds that they had, and I think the signings they've made, like Allen, 22 million, Decore 19. Rodriguez was a 3, like you said, Ben, which is mad for a 29-year-old top class midfielder who's got international pedigree, who's played for the best teams in the world, and you can see just from the bits I've seen from him, like I said with Thiago, those passes that no other midfielder would see, he picks them, and that's why they've been getting goals. That's why he's been getting goals, because he knows he hasn't got the best pace, but in terms of all-round game, agility, eye for a pass. Sometimes the money you can't put a price on that, and that's what makes you tick, and that's what gets you goals. I mean, couple that with Calvert-Lewin, who's turned into Graham Allen Shearer. I don't know what's going on with him. He's just bagging goals for fun. But I think having Rodriguez in there and setting him up and getting in the right position, him just staying in the 6-yard box and picking off the little poacher goals is doing wonders, and it's working well for them. And like I said, I am worried for the derby, because it's going to be a tricky one. But I think they're going to probably have a good little performance up until about Christmas, and I think they'll probably drop off. I mean, they haven't got enough quality in there to sustain it. I don't think they'll get top 4. I imagine they'll be in and around top 6, which is before they signed all these players. I had no hopes for Everton. I thought they'd be bottom 10 again as usual. Or usually they come up and do like a 7th, and they seem to yo-yo a lot, which is under Ancelotti, I don't think they'll do. And I think they'll, like I said with Klopp, they can pick and choose each window and try and improve gradually, and try and build that up slowly. And I think they have to give Ancelotti time, and if he's willing to stay there, they're only going to get loads better under him. And
they've got the dollar as well, haven't they? Got the dollar now as well. And Godfrey as well from Norwich. Bar any last minute hitches, it looks like that one's going to go through as well. Matisse, a couple of minutes on another club.
I think Aston Villa as well. I think they just got Ross Barkley on loan from us. I think that's going to be really shrewd sign. And obviously, keeping Jack Grealish is very much to my surprise. I thought he was going to go to Man United, but somehow they've managed to get him to pen to a long-term contract. And then Traore as well. I think they got from Lyon, the right winger. He could be very dangerous as well. So they've done some good business. I look at their team and I think, well, they've got quite a good team there. It's good, should be entertaining to watch. Should be a good team to watch. So yeah, I think they've gone under the radar slightly as well. But I think Everton as well is probably the biggest improvement out of everyone. I think that's clear because, James Rodriguez is just destroying this league so far. So he's what you want from a number 10. He looks unbelievable.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see Wolves again this year as well. They've let a couple of players go, obviously, in Doherty and Jota, and brought in a couple of players as well who are young lads who fit that model, and also Semedo at right back as well. He's a lovely, brilliant looking player, to be honest. When he first signed to Barcelona, I thought he was a good player. So it'd be interesting to see how he gets on at Wolves. Sheffield United be interesting with Brewster. How does Brewster fit in? He gives them another dynamic in attack, and I know they've brought in a couple of loans as well. Spurs, I mean, they've got the lad from Benfica now in as another option up top. Very much gritty Mourinho signings. I think if anyone watched the Spurs documentary, you wanted, excuse my language, you wanted some bastards in there. You wanted some players who can really take a game by the scruff of the neck, and he's got that in Højbjerg, very typical Mourinho midfielder who doesn't excite anyone apart from Mourinho. And he's got the players playing for him again. So I think it's going to be really interesting. But quickly, I just want to do 5 minutes, guys, before we switch off on United. I mean, this is the whole point of the show is reviewing the opposition's transfer window. So it's been great that we've managed to talk about it. At this point, well, again, we're recording this 24 hours in advance, so Tellez isn't done yet, and we're still haggling over a fee by the looks of it. I mean, Sancho, is that even still a thing? I don't know what's happening. I know United have accelerated in talks with a young lad from Uruguay as well, who's in the Argentinian leagues. I think it's Pistelli, who's a young lad who I don't know if he's going back there on loan or if he's actually going to come straight back into the first team squad, which is going to be a really, really interesting one. Looks like Cavani's going to get over the line. Obviously, Van der Beek done. Mick, watching in at United and seeing what's going on. I mean, for a Liverpool fan, it must be comedy central for you guys, but it's a bit worrying, such a big club being, so to speak, running this way, isn't it?
Yeah, I think like you touched on, signing Van der Beek was a good signing. I mean, I think he's only like 23, isn't he? So he's going to take a while to get used to the league, and I think he hasn't really started many games, has he? I think he's been coming off the bench, if not.
Just been in the cup. He's just been playing in the cup, yeah.
Well, I think it's going to take a while for him to bed in, but he's a good signing. Getting Henderson back in, like you said, it's touch and go between him and De Gea at the moment in terms of who's going to be number one. If it was me, I'd probably throw Henderson in there. I mean, just to, excuse me language, put a rocket up De Gea's arse, because I don't know what's going on with him. I don't know how old De Gea is now. Is he 28? Is he 29?
Yeah, he's not old. Like, do you know what I mean? This is what people are like. He's past his best. He should be in his prime right now. This is where Van der Sar came to life, and all the best goalkeepers come to life. Like, it's mad, isn't it?
That one baffles me completely. I don't understand. Like you said, he by some people he could be considered Man United's best goalkeeper in terms of shot stopping. I don't know why he's seemingly fallen off a cliff, because he's making mistakes that 3-4 years ago he'd be just gobbling up easily. So I don't know what's going on there. But in terms of other ones, I mean, like you touched on, Cavani, 33-year-old, if you can get him over the line and it's another little backup player, great. I mean, your forward three, when I look at it, it's good. Martial, Rashford up there. You've got some absolute good quality up in the areas that you need them. I mean, having Pogba in there, and I still think Matic is a good player. You've got really good quality in the positions you need them. The only position that worries me really is your centre halves. I mean, Maguire, when they signed him, I mean, it was a good signing, but for the fee was a bit mad. I don't know if that remains to be seen if you've overpaid for him. Lindelof, I mean, he's all right, but I still think you maybe need to upgrade on him in terms of going forward if you want to challenge for the league title again. I still think you need to address those key areas for me anyway. But for now, I still think you should get top 4, maybe top 3 this season. It just depends on, obviously, like the last couple of hours of this window, and if you get a couple more deals over the line, and that might go in your favour with the likes of like Cavani and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I think a Sancho eventually. I still think he will sign for United at some point. And
not this window or not this window.
No, I don't think it'll be this window. I think maybe next window. But I think he'll take us to a new level. I think having him up front with Martial and Rashford, that will scare any defence in the league. I don't care if I'm a Liverpool fan or not. That isn't a scary front three, and that will cause major problems for for any other team, and I think that'll elevate you up at maybe another extra position in the league once you get that over the line. Like I said, defence is maybe where you need to look for me, because I think you are a bit short back there, and if I had McGuire and Lindelof at centre half, I would be always worried every game.
But this is what baffles me as well, though. Like you say there, it takes United to the next level. For any football fan out there, they know that adding a Jadon Sancho to that front line automatically elevates you to having one of the best front lines in world football. It's as simple as that. You literally do. Like, whether you're a fan or not, with a Jadon Sancho, Martial, and Rashford front line, and Greenwood coming in and out as well. You know, let's not forget him. Like, I've spoken to, as I said earlier on, you know, I speak a lot to my fiance's dad, who's an avid Liverpool fan. He literally is like, Greenwood is going to be a world beater. It's like Greenwood's the most probably one of the players in world football right now that clubs need to be scared of. He just is incredible. So the fact that United are not willing to just turn around, like, you know, put the money down. I'll say this to Matisse, to Chelsea's credit. They've done that with all their signings this summer. They've just got the deals done when they've needed to get them done. I mean, can you believe the fiasco that's been going on around United this summer? Like, the fact that this Sancho deal's gone. I mean, you do a lot of YouTube stuff, and I know you don't just do Chelsea stuff as well, but how it's just dragged on. We know what the fee is. We also know sort of the deadline, so to speak. Although I think Zorc's comments the other day actually got rid of the fact that the deadline was ever a thing. I actually think that, you know, Dortmund are willing to accept the money when it's paid. Can you see that happening? And what have you made about the whole fiasco this window of Sancho? It's got a lot of clicks, isn't it? For one thing,
I don't think it will happen now, because it should have happened earlier. And I do find it a bit ridiculous, because you're the only runner in for him. Like, you have no competition, so it's really just agreed the fee. Sancho already wants to join, and then you have the player. And for the amount of press and the amount of almost leaked news that maybe Man United have allowed to come out on this deal as a club, for you then not to get him is you know, that's why you've got some of the toxicity with the fan base saying, where are the players? So I'm shocked that you haven't got that one done, because I said from the beginning, if you guys get him, that's a player I really wanted at Chelsea when we were linked with him over the January and Christmas period. I said, if you guys get him, I'm worried about your front three for sure. Like, that is a very scary front three. It's still a very good front three now, but I just feel like you needed a Sancho to come in there. Now without it, you know, you get one injury. The thing is with Man United is the lack of depth. You get one injury to a certain few players, and the player that comes into your team is the level is just drops massively. I remember when you played like a weakened team in a cup game recently, or it was maybe, I don't know what game it was, but you have Pereiras and Lingards, and it's just the quality just drops off so badly in Garlo. So yeah, you needed to sign players. You needed to sign players.
And that's why, for me, I don't mind Cavani, as long as it's not Cavani instead of Sancho or something outrageous like that. If you're getting Cavani, you've got his wages down a bit, that agent fee down a bit. You're bringing in, I think people are forgetting, Van der Beek, you know, for, as Mick said there, very young quality player who's got a lot of potential and has the potential to grow at United, become a great midfielder. He's come through that Ajax academy, so he's got football in his blood and in his veins. He's also Champions League experienced at such a young age. You know, United back in the Champions League this year. Cavani, massively experienced at the top level of European football. Is he better than Igalo? Fuck yeah. Yeah, of course he is. You know, so you're bringing him in because Igalo's on like 150k of wages on loan from a Chinese club. Like, he's gone in January. So if you're bringing in a Cavani who's like on 100k and then he's earning some goal bonuses, Cavani, go do your job, score some goals, you get more money. Go do it. I said this to Mick. I think it's a perfect deal for United. But I do agree with both of you. I think United need to address the left back position. And I think, again, we faffed about with the Tellez deal. Just get it done. Get it done. We faffed about with letting players go. Players just need to be let go of the club, like Liverpool have efficiently done. They've moved players on that needed to be moved on, and we're not just going to sit in the squad for the sake of sitting in the squad. United need to do that as well. And also what we need to do is we need to look at Jadon Sancho. And I'll tell you what, if we can pull off both those deals, and I don't think Sancho is going to happen now personally, something might have changed by this point, and I might literally be sat staring at my phone all day because he's on a plane from Dortmund to Manchester. Who knows? But if Sancho happens, then United have had a solid 10 out of 10 transfer window for me, with Cavani and a Tellez and a Van der Beek. If we're only doing Tellez and Van der Beek, it's like a 5 out of 10. United haven't improved enough. And if we're doing just a Tellez on top of that, again, it's a 6 or a 7 for me. But I'm not worried about. I'm going to say it now. I'm not that worried about not getting top 4. I think we should get top 4 because, as I said about Chelsea earlier on, you know, I think Chelsea needed to make those signings, and I do think it would be tighter this year. But I think, you know, United should finish top 4 this year. I'm not worried about that. But it's going to be an interesting one, guys, and an interesting deadline day. And thank you both for coming on. I think it's going to be an interesting season. We've spoken about Everton, spoken about Villa, spoken about Liverpool, spoken about Chelsea, bit on Spurs as well, though we don't like to talk about them too much. Get in the comments, let us know what you think. Hit the thumbs up. Mick, where can people go and find you a bit more if they want to watch some Liverpool content? If we've got some straying football fans on the All For United channel today.
Yeah, you find us on YouTube. Just search the Copite Podcast, and you'll find us on there. If you search on Twitter, the Copite Off, and all our stuff goes on there.
The fact that you've come on here, mate, you're already my favourite Liverpool fan. So hopefully we can collab and do some stuff in the future. I appreciate that, mate. Thank you for coming on and sharing your thoughts. Matisse, what about you, bro? Where can people go and find some more stuff which you feature on?
Yeah, so everything kind of comes from my Twitter in terms of that's where it's all based, and then everything will get shared from there. So if you follow me on that, my @ is on the screen there on the little bottom left-hand corner for the Matisse Armani, I think, and then or MAH. If you type that into Twitter, you'll find me there. So yeah, that's where everything will be found if you want to find me on different content.
Cheers, guys. Maybe we can do something during the international break, because who wants to watch international football, eh? Maybe do something else around rival fans. So, and thank you guys for coming on. Keep it all for United for deadline day. Hit subscribe. Another show coming at 8:30. The good, the bad, the ugly. Sorry, 6:30. The good, the bad, the ugly of the transfer window. Then, of course, 9:45 this evening. Joe and the lads are counting down to what is going to be the final 15 minutes of deadline. And who knows what's going to happen, because it's just been one of those windows, hasn't it? Take it easy, lads. Thanks again, and keep it all for United. Hit that subscribe button. Bye for now.